Hello and welcome to the Giving Voice to Depression podcast, brought to you by Recovery.com, the best place to find mental health and addiction treatment for anyone, anywhere.
Each week, we profile a guest who shares openly about their mental health journey. They share because they understand that when people don't talk about their depression or other mental health conditions, those of us who do struggle with them can feel like we're the only ones, that there's something wrong with us, and that no one understands. We understand.
I'm Terry McGuire, the creator and co-host of this podcast. You have my promise that we'll keep it real here. Depression is real, and we're not going to sugarcoat our discussions about it.
Hope is also real, and you'll get a dose of that here too. I'm Carly McCullough, a licensed social worker and educator, and Terry's daughter. We've both experienced depression and also support loved ones struggling with it. We're here to normalize talking about depression and mental health in our communities, as well as our families.
And to share real-world tested strategies that have worked for other people who have walked similar paths. Thanks for joining us. Hey, this is Terry. So every month we record 2 new interviews and pull some from our archives for the alternate week, so new listeners don't miss out on some great stuff like this interview with Davey from way back when we started this podcast. And he recently reached out and wanted to do an update because he's in a much better place and wants you to know that that's possible. So please listen to this episode today and then tune in next week to hear his update. It's worth it. This episode is from when Dr. Anita Sands was co-hosting with me. Hello, Anita.
Hi, Terry. As you probably know, if you're a longtime listener, the early years of this podcast were co-hosted by Terry and her sister, Bridget. We wanted to release a slightly different version of this particular episode featuring Davey because Terry's interview with him is still incredibly relevant today. And I get the opportunity to share my thoughts with you as well.
And I'm so glad we get to hear him because I also really remember this interview, even though it was years ago. And I think about Davey, and he's still in touch on social media. And a lot of the things he said have stuck with me over the years and have helped me in the way that sometimes someone else can by sharing their story.
That's right. I was pretty sure that you were going to say that the title of the episode has probably stuck with you. And it's something that I've talked about with people all the time, that it's really hard to fix something that's broken with something that's broken. Mm-hmm. So Davey reached out to us after listening to and learning from previous guest stories. And he hopes that his story will connect with someone listening, someone who needs to know that there are others out there going through similar things. So here now is Davey giving his voice to depression.
There's an aspect of having depression that doesn't get mentioned or addressed much, and that's the need of some to completely redefine themselves after being taken down by the illness. Such is the case for Davey.
When I sat and felt discouraged and defeated because I was such a hard worker, I was a good worker and I was a go-to guy. I mean, the bosses could count on me. But when I hit the wall, I was done, and that really bothers me.
Like so many of us, when Davey hit that wall, he had no idea what the heck that wall even was.
It was in 2017. I've learned a lot about it since I've really been debilitated with it. I was exhausted all through that year. I really felt like I had some kind of a blood disorder, and I thought, if that's what it's going to take, do it, because I'm just tired. And but it wasn't going fast enough. So finally, by November the 17th, I went to my doctor and I said, I can't do life anymore. I'm done. It's everything in my head just races, and there's no rest. I'm exhausted.
Davey, who's been lucky enough to have a team of competent, caring doctors and therapists while on disability, says he now applies his work ethic to a different challenge.
I've mentioned to my counselor about how hard work I really was, and she says, I fully believe you're that hard worker because I see how hard you work at this fighting depression. And I guess I really just do. I just fight it. I mean, things I'll try to make up in my head. You wake up and you want to lay there in the morning and you don't want to get up, right? And I say, you know what, if you can just get out of bed, you can run from that monster for a little while. It might only be a half an hour or an hour, but you can at least run from them for a while, right? And it might be longer. These are things that they do to keep me going.
Davey has also learned to apply that measured approach to time to projects he undertakes.
And another thing that I've learned is because I was a workhorse, and now when I go and do something, and I've been coached on this, is stop when you can only do a little bit of an hour project or whatever, because you'll get a little bit of a dopamine high. So I grab that and I go with it, and it does. It's not an outstanding buzz by any means, but it does give you a little feeling of good inside, if that makes any sense.
Accomplishment, yeah.
Just a little bit, and don't, because I've been told if I try to go and try to do too much, that little bit of a dopamine high that I get will turn into a discouragement, because you'll overwhelm yourself. So these are the kinds of things I've tried to learn and listen to. I'm a guy, when I go for an appointment, I take notes and I make notes because I value what they tell me, right? Just because I'm doing my best to survive on this, right?
Another thing Davey has learned from his therapists is the idea of a tool for time. The thing that works to help us today may not be the same one that works tomorrow, or even later today, which is why, he says, we need to cultivate a number of self-care techniques for the bad times.
Well, they'd be different for everybody else than they are for me, but a tool for a time can be a little hobby that you'll take and work on that, for me, I'm speaking for myself, I'm not saying that I will take and work on for myself, that you can just take your mind off reality in life. It's something that, like, I can sit and play a guitar for a while, and sometimes I'll find myself playing hard and too fast, and it's good and it's bad. It's bad for the tune, but it's good because some of my anxiety is running out through my hands, right? It's just a little tool for time that I've found that helps me a lot, right? Don't figure it's going to work forever, but if it's not, there'll be think about another little tool for a time.
Another of Davey's mental health management tools is another hobby, restoring vintage chainsaws. In addition to offering a good distraction and a chance to use his skills, it also provides a wonderful metaphor that helps him better understand his depression and anxiety.
Here's the strangest thing. When I took the first one apart, it had got hot and seized. And I took it apart, and the reason I got hot and seized was because there was sawdust and oil and just garbage that had filled and plugged the head up. I thought to myself, isn't that interesting? The head is this thing has caused this thing to seize. And I look at myself and think, my head, it's full of sawdust and oil and grime, and there's not good air getting through that. It just leaped at me, and that was such a help for me, right? Does that sound bizarre?
It doesn't sound at all bizarre. It sounds, it's enlightening. I think it's great. You're very insightful.
Well, that's why I wanted to share, maybe help someone else, because I don't believe it about myself. I don't believe a lot of good about myself, but I've been told that by the professional help that I have, that you have something to offer someone else. So I tell you, if I can do that, I'll do it, right? So I thought I'll just sit here and tell you what I can.
Have you ever spoken publicly about your depression before?
No, ma'am. No, no.
Thank you for trusting me.
I like the reality of your posts, your podcasts. It's the real people. It's not the psychologist telling you what you need to do. It's people telling you what's going on in their head, right? It's hand-to-hand combat with that ugly disease, right? And I just keep fighting the best I can with it.
One of the things Davey has learned in his years of combat with depression is how incredibly unhelpful so-called helpful advice can be. Here's how he's learned to discourage it.
And, for me, I found I tried to tell people, well-meaning people say, if you can do this and if you can do that. And I said, I try to compare it like this. If you had, let's say you had really bad stomach flu and you're laying in bed sick, and someone's making chicken soup on the stove, and we know everybody loves chicken soup, and chicken soup's good for you. But if you took a spoonful of it, you'd throw up, right? I try to explain to them that's why I am inside me with your ideas and telling me to read this or do that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying your health isn't good, but I can't take it right now, and that's exactly what would happen. I would throw it up, right? I don't know if that's descriptive enough to help people understand, but that's really what I would like that I've tried to tell people without being, you know how we can get with when people are telling us what we need to do, and we want to just say, live in my head for a day or a week and see how you, then try to tell me that.
They'd never make it a week. They'd be pounding to get out.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, the chicken soup was at least a kind way to tell them, and maybe they could really get the idea, because everybody's had stomach flu, right? At least I think everybody can relate to that anyways. I would hope they would.
It's an admittedly graphic way to communicate that advice has got to come at a time we can stomach it. We've learned from many podcast guests that those conversations are easier to have when we're well, and are best approached in more of a, hey, when you're feeling or acting like you do when you're fill in the blank, anxious, depressed, whatever, what could I do that would be helpful and supportive and that you could digest, right? Those of us who live with these conditions are more likely to know what works for us than someone with no experience battling our particular enemy, especially someone like Davey, who's actually made it his job to understand his illness.
Is the depression, it messes you up for trying to stay focused and concentrate, and it leaves its scars, eh? And, you know, that was the thing when I kept battling and hoping maybe in 6 months it would go away, and then first it was 6 weeks, then it was 6 months, and I thought maybe they say, well, sometimes 2 years, but it kept hanging around, and I thought, I got to learn more about this thing, because it's dangerous for me. It's dangerous, and I've got to learn this enemy better than I know it now. And that's why I've tried to research and understand it as much as I can, so that I know what its lies. And I know it could sound like a very done deal, like, okay, so you know that it lies to you, and you just have to blow that off and not listen. But then I go back to the thing, well, I know, I understand that, but again, I'm fixing something that's broken here with something that's broken, so got to go back and work on it again, right? I keep
Yes.
telling myself that I got to keep working on this. I mean, it's a challenge, and I think I've accepted the challenge instead of letting it beat me down. I think I'm trying to accept that challenge, day by day.
You are tough.
It's a tough enemy, eh?
Yes, it is. I know that when I had my worst depression, which is what led me to start this podcast, I'd had it before. I knew what I should have known. I could have known. I don't want to should myself what it was. I'd actually been on antidepressants before and been to therapy before.
Oh,
and
really?
I acted like this was brand new, and I had no idea. And I didn't even recognize it as an illness. It was, as you say, just me. Just me. I had just lost my worth.
Yep.
And I'm stunned by that, because I'm not any genius, but I'm also not an idiot. And I did not get it. I did not understand that this was a medical thing.
No, I didn't either. I thought I was going to be like just an odd guy that just can't do life, right? I had no idea that depression was such a legitimate illness. But once I was diagnosed, I thought, you know what? I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not going to hide this. I battle it, and it's as real as cancer or any other disease that's out there.
If you're listening and you're in that awful place of thinking that what and how you're feeling is unique to you because you are worthless or a burden, or that from now on you're always going to feel how you do right now, please skip some really painful steps and consider that what's going on in you may in fact be a common and treatable medical condition, a legitimate illness.
Because I know it'll just slam you against the rocks. It will for me. Some little thing will happen. It will trigger. An anxiety thing will happen. It will trigger depression. And it's wham. It hits really hard. That's something I've tried to learn too, with help, is to limit my things that trigger my anxiety, that trigger my depression. Like I have social anxiety as well as major depressive disorder. So if I can keep a handle on my anxiety, it helps to curb some depression things, right? It's a learning thing. It's a battle today and see how it works tomorrow for me.
When you talk about being slammed on the rocks, how often does that happen to you? How often would you say you are, quote, in depression?
More than I care to think about. It happens a lot. Like I had today's Wednesday. Monday was going pretty good. And then some little things in life that shouldn't bother most people. But it hit me so hard. I magnify it and I spin things into a catastrophe. And that's something I'm trying to stop doing. But it happens a lot. I don't get a weekend where I'm not having like struggles, eh? Does that answer your question?
Yes, and it has to be so hard. I feel that, and I feel for you, and I'm sorry.
Well, thanks. This helps. To know that maybe I might have said something that's helped someone else, it gives me my purpose. It's like I donate blood, and that gives me purpose. It doesn't feed my ego, it feeds my purpose. That I can grab my phone and look at it and say, I got another 30 days, and I can donate blood. That could potentially help 3 people live. That's a big help to me, eh? It's my medication.
Is there anything when you reached out about your boots on the ground struggle story that you haven't said that you want somebody listening to know about living with depression?
I honestly think, and I want to say this, even if I don't believe it myself 100% yet, but I want to say that depression's a winnable battle. It's winnable. No matter how ugly and dark it is, it's winnable. And not only is it winnable, you'll be a better person in society.
And then Davey paused for a moment, thought, and rephrased his closing comment.
Maybe when I say winnable, maybe a person will learn to live with it and to cope with it and gather more tools for time as they go along, more tools in their toolbox for them. But I hope I'm making sense what I'm trying to say here. That to wake up and say one day, well, maybe my depression will just be gone. Well, that'd be wonderful if that happens for you. But even if it doesn't, learn the tools to live with it, because it makes you, we need more caring people in society, more real people. Everybody can have a superficial conversation. They can have them all day long, but what good are they most of the time, right? It puts quality in a person. That's just what I believe. There is payoffs for the ugliness of it, because being a more useful, helpful person, it means something, I think.
How does the ugliness make you more useful and helpful?
Well, people maybe know that what you deal with is something that's been kind of not talked about. So maybe they could feel more comfortable to talk to you. Look, I got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? We listen, but that's a big help. People, like I said, people will just listen. They say, I get it, I understand. Like, I'm not going to judge you or just stay away from the you just need to's. You know what I mean by them?
Yes.
You just need to. Well, you just need to? Yeah, well, I just need to stay away from most people.
So, Terry, what an incredible interview. I'm so glad that you agreed to re-release this one and to let us talk about it. Mm-hmm. I just can't emphasize more some of the points that he made. They're just so good. Obviously, that first one, he said, I'm fixing something that's broken with something that's broken. Yes. I mean, it's a beautifully stated concept. It's also something that we just really have to keep getting out there to remind people how real this struggle is. So loved it. Loved it. Loved that image that he had when he was taking apart that chainsaw.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't working.
Yes.
All gunked it was the up. Head. Yeah, the head. The engine was gunked up. It's like, well, no wonder, you know? And again, so the chainsaw part looked fine, but wasn't working, right? Mm-hmm. But you had to take apart the inside to see that it was gunked up. And I feel like, wow, what a great visual for depression, for anxiety, for mental health issues. The outside can look, I mean, sometimes it doesn't look completely okay, or we know it's not working right, but you won't know until you go inside what's gunked up, what needs to be fixed.
And I think more people will understand it having that visual, because we've all had, whether it's the lawnmower and we've got to, clear some part of it, or the snowblower, I'm in Wisconsin, or whatever, we know when a machine doesn't work and it has gotten, clogged. And anybody with depression or a lot of other mental health issues is going to know just what that clogged feels like and looks like and sounds like. And, absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. He also gives you that, sort of that disturbing visual of people offering chicken soup, thinking this is really good. This will be good for you, except you've just been recovering from, the flu. And if you try to eat it, it's going to come right back up. You can't digest it yet. It won't actually be helpful yet. And what a great visual too for all the times that people dealing with depression and mental health issues hear very well-intentioned advice, like here's the chicken soup, without the offer of the advice, understanding that they're not in the place where they can make use of that yet. And so your help, while well-intentioned, is not helpful. It's just not relevant at that moment.
You using the verb digest is just genius. We can't digest it. We don't even have access. When they say, why don't you need to take a walk, you need to do yoga, you need to all the things you need to do. I understand 100% that those things would help me. I can't do it right now.
Right. And being able to acknowledge, that it's can't and not won't.
Yes.
Is so important for the destigmatization of depression, because otherwise people just see you, not taking advantage of resources, not taking advantage of good advice, not doing the yoga, not going for the walk, and thinking, well, that must be a choice. You must have some choice or some agency about that. When you literally cannot do it, you cannot do it. There is no choice. There's no avoidance. There's just, I can't do it. And I work with people so much to talk about that difference between, I could, but I'm just not feeling it. There's that kind of gradation. And then there's the, even if I wanted to, which I might admit that I don't want to, but even if I really wanted to, I can't. I can't right now. And trying to understand that it's not a matter of choice a lot of the times. So.
Right. A car without gas can't start. It's not that it doesn't want to.
Yes. Yep. That's it.
Another thing I really appreciated about him is the way he attacks learning about his depression and trying to figure out ways to better manage it, down to taking notes when he's with a therapist, like he's taking a course, because in his mind, he kind of is. He's getting access to information that he knows can be helpful. And I just respect that approach, as opposed to, I can read all the books and have, I can hear really good advice, but I can't always access it. And if I had it on paper, it would be easier to do.
Yes. I've given that advice so many times that when people are in therapy, it's like, where is your notebook? And I do think of understanding your particular diagnosis as like, you should become a student of it. And so, especially like if I'm working with college students, I'm like, okay, we're going to approach this as if at the end of our therapy together, you could write the paper, not only on your diagnosis, but on all of the ways that it expresses itself in you, all of the warning signs. We've talked about putting together those, those emergency plans, the self-care plans, all of that. And if you have literally a notebook, a binder that you can put all of that information in, I think it makes it so much easier to manage it in the long run. But I also so appreciated that Davey's orientation to his depression was accepting it to begin with. You have to accept what is. You don't have to like it.
You do not.
It would be strange to like being depressed.
It would indeed.
So yes. Yeah, you don't have to like it, but if you accept it, and he accepted it as a challenge. That's exactly what he said. It's a challenge. And then he got curious and he wanted to learn everything he could. And that's what you do. You start with that, and by learning everything that you can as you're able to, then you can start experimenting to see what kinds of things you're learning about you might be able to take the baby steps with. And that whole time, as you know, we keep saying you got to give yourself the compassion because the struggle is so hard. So no judgment, no criticism as you're doing that learning and that experimenting. But I love the acceptance piece. And so many programs start with accepting what you have and that you're going to need some help to be able to manage it.
Yep, got to accept that engine is clogged before we can get in and do anything if we want to use it again. And we need our brains. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we got to revisit this.
Me too.
Because I really liked Davey and I loved the interview as well. And thank you, Davey, if you still listen, for letting us reopen your chainsaw.
Beautiful.
We really hope that this discussion helps give some language or context to your own depression or ideas for how to support someone else in your life living with it. We invite you to check out the hundreds of episodes in our archive and to explore both the Resource Hub and treatment options on recovery.com. Depression is too dark a road to walk alone.
We'll be back next week.